everybody, my name is Tanya and this is the Required 101 tag. This tag was created by Sabrina of It's Cappuccino and I was tagged by Joe at Joe Reads Books. Basically this tag is to talk about some of the books that you were assigned at school, books that you love but only read because it was required. So this was actually quite hard to do. There are some things that probably school me may not have picked up, but now me definitely would. But I've picked out a few things. As with Sabrina, I've decided to go with 3, although one of them is a series. The first one comes from when I was in grade 5, so age 10. We didn't have actual required reading in primary school in general. We had our library classes, we had our open reading, we read whatever we wanted to, but there were things that we did read as a class or that the teacher would read to us, and this is something that the teachers introduced to us and the whole class just went absolutely crazy for. That's going to be the Tomorrow series by John Marsden. This is the first book. It's usually called Tomorrow When the War Began. My copy is just When the War Began. This is a series that's set in Australia and it's based around a group of teenagers. They go off and they go bush for a weekend instead of going to the local show, and when they come back they find that war has broken out and that all of the town is being held at the showgrounds, and these 7 kids are the only ones that are free. So they've been invaded by an unspecified foreign army, and it follows them dealing with the fact that their whole families have been taken, that they're having to do something about it themselves, and it's an absolutely fantastic series. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's a series of 7 books, so here are my very well loved copies. There's some definite dog-earing and broken spines and scuffs, but it's just a testament to how many times I've read this. I couldn't even guess a figure that I've read these books through. And there's a further series of 3 books that are set after the war and the whole aftermath of trying to put their lives back together as much as they can. Now, while the kids in this series would have been later teens, and I was 10 when I first read them, it was still very close to us, and that these are kids that are not all that much older than we are, having to deal with the fact that everybody has been taken, that there's a foreign army in their town, that there's nobody to help them. It's just them. And what are they going to do about it? Now he's one of my favourites, one of my absolute favourites, but I can't judge whether I would have read them had we not been introduced to them by our teachers. I don't know whether I ever would have picked him up, and it would have been such a shame. So when I was in year 7, they actually took us to a talk by John Marsden, and so we had the opportunity to go and to get some books signed by him and meet him. So I got a couple of books signed. This is the 7th book in the series, The Other Side of Dawn, and he signed it for me, so it says, Tanya, happy days, John Marsden. The next one is something that I read in year 9, and for the most part I skipped YA as a kid. I went mainly from children's books to adults books. I read some YA in the middle, but in general I kind of skipped the whole YA phase. So this wasn't something that I necessarily would have picked up at the time, but it is called Guitar Highway Rose by Bridget Lowry. It's again an Australian author, and it follows a teenage girl called Rosie and a teenage boy called Asher, and a road trip that they take together to just get away from it all. This was probably one of the ones that I enjoyed most out of the assigned reading that we had in the earlier part of high school. It's told in quite a unique way, or quite a different way, in that we've got just little snippets of things, and this is from this perspective and that's from this perspective. Rosie Saturday morning, Rosie's bedroom, Rosie Saturday night, contents of Ash's pockets, little quotes from different characters, what Asher wore to school on Tuesday. This is a second-hand copy that I got for school, and I just found a little section in here that's been circled by one of the previous owners, and I don't know whether I can get it to focus, but it's a couple of pigs. Obviously the previous owner to this book thought that that was amusing. It's good to know that they paid attention to the story. And so the last one I'm going to talk about is something that I was assigned, I think, in year 12. And it's a little bit of a cheat because it's something that now me would read, but then me had never heard of and wouldn't have picked up. And that is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. It's something that I would read now because it's on the 1001 books you must read before you die. That alone is enough to get me to read it, but it probably wouldn't have been on any kind of priority list of mine. This is a really interesting story, and it's told from the perspective of a teenage boy who has Asperger's. One night he finds that one of the neighbourhood dogs has been killed, and he sets out to track down who's murdered the dog, and it leads to a whole lot more than he was ever expecting, and the journey that he has to go through, having to deal with everything that comes from this. And so being told from the perspective of somebody with Asperger's syndrome, it's got a really unique voice. He's got his ways of dealing with the situation and his quirks, and so being inside his head and living all that with him is a really interesting experience. And so this leads nicely onto a project that I've been contemplating for a while and have decided that I'm going to do next year. Next year marks my 10-year anniversary of finishing school. I graduated in 2005. And I've been considering for a while doing a reread of all my school books. I've read some of them since, but some of them I haven't revisited at all, and there were some that I really enjoyed and others that I didn't care for so much, and so I haven't really revisited those. And I'm intrigued now with at least 10 years of perspective and being removed from having read them and having to dissect them for school to see what I think about them now. So next year I'm planning on doing a project and a series of videos rereading all of my high school assigned reading, starting year 7 and working my way through to year 12. One, to revisit and see what I think of them now, but also I'd like to show some of the different things that are assigned reading in different countries. So I laughed when I was tagged in this because it kind of fit in perfectly with my thoughts of, yes, I am actually going to do this. So that's something that will be coming next year. So on the 1st of October I am going on holidays. I am flying over to Western Australia. I live in Victoria. Flying over to Western Australia to attend a book launch for a book by Juliet Marillier, her latest, Dreamer's Pool. And I'm really excited. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm having a week break over there, having a holiday, going to see some of the sights of Western Australia. Never been over there before. So I'm going to try and get some pre-filming done today, but I don't know how I'm going to go, whether I'm going to get too many queued up. So I may not have too many videos up while I'm gone. I also might be a bit slow in responding to any comments, depending on whether I'm going to have access to be able to reply or not. But I will probably still be active on Twitter and putting up some photos of my trip. I'm going to tag Ness at WanderNess, see how you go with this one instead of the book swag tag. And I'm going to tag Jane at Yes Miss Jane. Jane is somebody who's commented on some of my videos, and she just made her first video yesterday and uploaded it, and so I'd like to see you do some tags and see you do some more videos if you'd like to do it. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!